Introducing the Parameta Bliss Podcast, a show dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of achieving optimal health naturally as you transition into perimenopause and menopause. Get ready to join your host, Dr. Seth Yates, an experienced naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and kinesiologist, as he shares his wealth of knowledge acquired from over 40,000 patient visits and 15 years in working with perimenopausal females. Welcome to the Parameta Bliss Podcast.
Check, test. Hey, this is Doc Yates. Welcome to the Parameta Bliss Podcast, brought to you by ParametaBliss.com and ablehealth.us. And today, we're going to discuss top 10 tips to feel your best by doing less. Everybody, we're always looking for how can we do more of this? How can we take more of this? What is the next thing that's going to give us the thing that we need? And what I have found in practice is that it's not the things that you're adding that make you feel better. It's not the things that you're adding that's going to make you get the results that you want. It's often the things that you have to stop, the things that you need to take away. And I remember seeing an ad, this was at least over a decade ago, and there's no truth in the numbers to this, but it says half the world dies of excess while the other half dies of deficiency. And we definitely live in that half. If you're in North America, the half that's more so dying of excess. So we're going to talk about the top 10 things that you could probably use less of that's going to make you feel better. 1, food. We are overeating. We are overweight, and that is leading to a lot of health issues. We're seeing with obesity, diabetes, which takes to point number 2, rather than say just food, sugar. We're having way too much sugar. The excess in sugar, especially when it comes, if we're looking at it from a perimenopausal standpoint, it does lead to a spike in insulin, spike in blood sugar, which leads to dumping of estrogen, so estrogen dominance, weight gain, all of those things that we're trying to avoid. It increases inflammation. Pull back on sugar. The third thing, screen time. We are spending a lot of time on our screens. Our kids are spending too much time on their screens. It's bad for their brain. It's bad for their concentration. They're not getting enough activity. Pull back on screen time. So you can get those little alerts on your phone, so it's set up so it automatically reminds you, like, okay, you're done. Like you've set this amount of time for the day on your screen. You are done. Lock yourself out. Lock your kids out. Set those reminders so that way when you are on your screen, you're actually focusing on the things and using it to the best of your benefit as opposed to just randomly scrolling for hours on end. Okay, the next thing we've got is worrying. We are become a very anxious society. I see so many people on anxiety medications. Now, I would say for my perimenopause listeners that the hormone balance plays a big role in worrying and anxiety. But even outside of that, so many people describe themselves as, I am a worrier. And then they start listing things that they're worried about, and they acknowledging, like, yeah, I shouldn't be worried about it, but I just need something to think of. It's like they consciously want to be worriers sometimes. And I know that's not the case for many people, but there are so many things that you can worry about that you don't have control over anyways. So your worrying is not helping. So let's try and reduce our worrying. Number 5, supplements and medications. There are times where I have clients come to my office with literally bags full of supplements and medications. Now, there's obviously some medications that are needed. There's some supplements that give you some great results. But a lot of the times, these can be just put into a couple combination products, and you don't need to be taking 15 bottles of supplements and 30 different pills a day, which is probably not that great for you anyways. When you're doing that, you're getting all of the things that go into the capsules, all of the fillers, especially if it's a poorly made brand. All of that is not going to be... And I've never seen someone who was not feeling great who started taking all those supplements and felt better. I know that there's a pharmacy in the area, and they would send people for these super expensive blood tests to say, oh, this will tell us exactly what supplements that you need, and guess what, we're the only ones who could make them. So then they'd send them home with $400 of supplements per month, and they'd be taking that. None of them felt better, and I spent most of the time just kind of pulling out those supplements and weaning them off and focusing on the things that we had to remove in their lifestyle to make them feel better. 6, expenses. We're signing up for too many membership programs, we're buying too many things, and it's just increasing the amount of debt burden on ourselves. And when you're in debt to something, it's like you're a slave to something, and then just it's that extra pressure. It's not good for your mental health, not good for your emotional health, and that will actually lead to more worry and anxiety. Look for ways that you can pull back on your expenses. Every once in a while, I'll go through my credit card and be like, oh, I didn't realize I was signed up for this membership site, or I didn't realize that this was an expense that I was paying for, and I'll just go through and just wipe all of that. Just wipe it all out just to pull back on your expenses. Number 7, stimulants. Coffee and smokes. Everybody already knows that too much of this is a problem. So if you have to pick, like if you're a smoker, from a health perspective, from a long-term, let's look at the studies, there's nothing you can do that's more important than pulling back on smoking. So start with the smoking, even if it means you're still going hard on the coffee. After that, but things like coffee, energy drinks, pull back on that. Those are things that are when your body's tired, and it's just a way. It's like whipping a racehorse until it burns out. What you need to do is give it a little bit of rest and give it the proper nutrition that it needs, as opposed to just like continuously trying to force something that's exhausted. Number 8 is grains. I find a lot of my clients, when I put them on the weight loss program and we pull back on grains, they just feel so much better. Their bloating is better, their energy is more regular and more consistent throughout the day, their sleep is better, they don't feel as inflamed and puffy in the morning. Pulling back on grains, specifically wheat and corn, seem to make the biggest difference. Number 9, sitting. It's just the nature of our work today is that we spend so much time on computers, so much time in the desk. Like the vast majority of people have desk jobs. I bet chances are if you're listening to this, you have a desk job as well. Look for ways to get up and move. The constant sitting, beyond the fact that you're not being active enough, the sitting, it just puts us into a posture so that the hip flexors are getting tight, which leads to back issues, which leads to further up the back to neck and shoulder issues. Try to do less sitting, more walking. And like say it's after a meal, if you're eating less, you're gonna. The ideal thing is you go out and just do a brief walk after a meal. If you've eaten so much that you can't do that walk, you know you've eaten too much, and then the walk will kind of help get with the digestion. And finally, number 10, complaining. If we could all start looking for the more positive aspects, try to become more of an optimist. Optimist, the life of an optimist is just their outlook is better, their stress levels are better, they live longer. Try and look for ways that the glass is half full, not half empty. Like if it's raining outside, think, okay, great, now we get the grass really needs it. Look for the silver lining, and you will very often be surprised how many times too where something bad has happened and it seems so upsetting, but then much later on you saw, oh well, if this hadn't happened, then this positive thing wouldn't have happened. Now that we're at an age that we can recognize that, just expect that there's probably a positive hidden in there somewhere. And even if you don't see it now, you probably will see it later. So if you can start doing less of these 10 things, I guarantee that your life is going to be better, your mental state is going to be better, and you're going to free yourself up from a time perspective and an energy perspective to start spending more time following your passions and doing the things you love. All right, I hope this was helpful. This is Doc Yates signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paramena Bliss podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and visit paramenobliss.com for more valuable information on how you can thrive during your transition through perimenopause. Join our community of like-minded women who are dedicated to achieving optimal health naturally, and stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and advice from Dr. Seth Yates. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Paramena Bliss podcast.